the factor error variance decompositions, and the impulse response function. And we start with the IRF. So now after interpreting the coefficients, we look at the IRF, and you're saying IRFs are used to trace the effect of one standard deviation shock. The effects of one standard deviation shock of one of the VAR variables, which we call the impulse, on the current and the future values of all the variables in the system, which we are calling the response. In other words, if we shook one variable, that variable we are shooking is what we are calling the impulse. How will that shock affect other variables? Those other variables is what we are calling response. Then in our analysis, we have 8 steps or 8 time periods. Remember when we are running the analysis, we put 8 periods. Maybe I can just demonstrate it. If you can remember, we put...
that one, remember, it's the future period.
Yeah. That
Yes.
future periods. This one here, the 8.
Yes.
So we have 8 steps period with blue line that is in this graph, and representing the impulse response function, and the shaded area represent the confidence, the 95% confidence interval. So when we run this model and got the VAR results, we also automatically generated this graph. This graph is the IRF graph, the impulse response function. If I expand it, you can see we have 4 graphs. We have 4 graphs because we have 2 variables. We have the variable of interest rate, and we have the variables of stock prices. Now, if I minimize a bit, here, if you check at the bottom here, you'll see the graphs by IRF name, comma, impulse variable, comma, response variable. So this is the name of the model, VAR basic. This is the name of the impulse variable, the second one, and the last one is the name of the response variable. So now what we are interested in is the impulse variable and the interest rate variable. So we said if we shook the impulse variable, how will the response variable behave? If we shook it, if there is a sudden change. So if we concentrate on this first graph, the left side, it shows the magnitude of the shock, and it usually ranges from -1 to 1, whereby 0 means 0, 1 means that it majorly means 100%. Then if you check here below, these are the periods that we included, 0 to 8. We included 8 periods. So the first period may be 0 and 2. We consider this one to be the short run. The 8th period, this is the long run period. You can include as many periods as we want. So 0 is short run, 8 is long run. What will be the behavior in the short run and what will be the behavior in the long run? And we have included here that we are conducting this analysis at 95% confidence level. Now, if we consider the first one, if we choke interest rate, how will that particular interest rate behave in the short run and in the long run? So if there is a sudden change in the interest rate, we look at this graph. If this graph is above 0, we call it positive change. If it is below 0, we call it negative change. So in this case, if there is a shock in interest rate, we first of all see at 0, at this level 0, there is a positive sudden change to this level. So this change then it dies out until it reaches almost 0. By the time you are reaching about 2 or 3, then it hits 0. So there is, in the short run, there is a sudden change, and this change declines until it reaches 0, and then it stabilizes to the long run. It stabilizes to the long run. That means if we shock interest rate, the interest rate itself will have a positive change to almost number 1 level, which now dies out to the long run. Then, if we shock interest rate, what will happen to the stock prices? If there is a sudden change in the interest rate, in the short run, the stock prices will have a positive response. This response will increase up to around 0.8, increase a bit as we approach the period of 2, and then stabilize to the future or to the long run. And then if you can see that this shaded area, this gray area is what we are calling the 95% confidence level. Then if we shock stock prices, what will happen to the interest rate? You can see there is no change. It remains at 0. If we shock, it means that a change in interest rate, a change in stock prices does not have an effect on interest rate. Interest rate remains constant. It remains constant at 0. And then we go to the last one. If we shock stock prices, how will the stock prices behave? What is the effect of shocking stock prices on itself? So you can see there is a sudden change at 0, which is very high at 1, and then it tries to die slowly, very slowly, as we approach the long run. Yeah. A sudden change in the short run. This change declines very slowly as we move to the long run. So you can see interest rates have a significant have an effect on its own, and it also have an effect on stock prices, and both effects are positive. A shock in stock does not have an effect on interest rate, but it have a significant effect on itself. So that is what we call the variance or the impulse response function. That is what we consider. We consider these graphs in the explanation of variance impulse, of impulse response function. And I have put that particular explanation in this table in a very simple way. If you shock interest rate, how will the interest rate behave? We have impulse and response. In the short run, we have positive response. It jumps almost to 1 in the long run, and then it dies out as we move or as we approach period 2 to 3, and then remains constant at 0 level. And then we see that it is insignificant because the confidence level includes 0. And then if we shock interest rate, how does stock prices behave? There is a positive response change. It jumps up. We have seen that, this jump here. And it remains permanent as we approach to the long run. It stabilizes at a higher level, and it is significant because this particular confidence level is or does not include the 0 level. The same case with the response to a stock to stock prices shock. So I just explained them there. It's a summary of whatever we have discussed.